everyone, this is Paul Gale from PaulGaleNetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for video game news. It is October 16th, 2020, and these are the top stories of the day. Now, to kick things off, I want to talk about Rare, specifically because Kotaku.com today happened to have a really nice interview with Xbox's Phil Spencer. And Rare has a special place in my heart as being one of my favorite developers in charge of many awesome IPs over the years. And of course, Xbox, Microsoft, they own Rare these days, but some feel that they don't do enough with their powerful franchises from years past, myself included. So if you want to see the full Kotaku interview, I suggest going over there, giving the folks credit. They do a great job, but I'm going to share just a small nugget of their interview today on VGN. When asked about Rare and what they might be doing with some classic characters such as BanjoKazooie and Conker, Phil Spencer said, "I leave it up to the studios in terms of the things that they want to go work on. I have a lot of respect for Rare and the work that they do. They do like building new things, and they've seen success with Sea of Thieves. I think they're really excited about Everwild, but also the response to Battletoads was nice." So he also goes on to saying he thinks it's always about finding a balance, and the developer that helped out with Battletoads did a good job. And he always gets questions in his inbox like, let every studio do blank property, and also why do you bring this one back, why do you not bring this one back, etc. So to talk a little bit about it from my opinion, my interpretation of that, first of all, what he said was basically Rare could do what they want. If they want to make a new Perfect Dark, it looks like they could. If they wanted to make a new BanjoKazooie, it looks like they could do that as well. We found out elsewhere that, the reason why we haven't received a new BanjoKazooie game in a while is that it needs to cater to a new audience. Why? Because there are more gamers out there today than there were back in 1997, 1999, 2000, when BanjoKazooie was out and, became a big thing. But you don't want to disrespect the past, because those couple million strong probably would turn up for a new BanjoKazooie. And that's the core audience that you want to cater to in a way. But you also have to expand because there are so many new gamers with, different likes these days. Titles that people play today, they have influenced what other titles get developed, You look at the success of Breath of the Wild and you see to be nice, copycats that come out, or at least have inspirations from Breath of the Wild's theme. You see a popular MMO RPG like World of Warcraft, you see a lot of MMOs that come out afterwards. You see a popular title like Fortnite, and you have other games jumping into the fray of, many people at once playing, entering 64 combatants, 100, etc. So, popular games influence other games that hope to be popular based off of genres, etc. Would a plain, straight-up 3D platformer similar to the BanjoKazooie and BanjoTooie of almost 2 decades ago do well today if it was labeled BanjoKazooie 3 or Banjo 3E? Technically, there was nuts and bolts on Xbox 360 and even Grunty's Revenge on Game Boy Advance. But would a new Banjo just do fine? I think so. I mean, look at Crash 4. Activision tested the waters with the Crash trilogy, with Spyro trilogy, with bringing back Crash Team Racing. Just ports of the old games with a new coat of paint. They turned out fantastic. They did it again with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. So I think if I was Rare right now, I would either work internally or let a competent studio handle this project of bringing out a beautiful 4K remake of BanjoKazooie and BanjoTooie on one disc, one download. Call it $60 or $50 if you want to, throw gamers a bone. It would be worth $60 easily. And if you gave it that full HD remake treatment, 4K, 60 frames per second, visual fidelity of that of a game that's built ground up for the Xbox, One, Xbox Series consoles, and then see how that did, and then get the wheels turning. don't leave these properties behind. You see the popularity that Banjo still has, right? And I think Joanna Dark would work well today, women power and all of that. Not that it wasn't a thing in 2000, but it's kind of more of an important thing. More awareness is drawn to that nowadays. So I think Joanna would be great. I think giving her a different genre, like a spy, third-person perspective genre, Perfect Dark in that setting could be Microsoft's own exclusive take on Metal Gear Solid. Think of that type of game for Joanna Dark. Anyways, at the end of the day, I wanted to do two things. One, look at what Phil Spencer said. Rare could do what they want to do, and he respects the studio's decisions. Now it's a matter of interpreting that. Will we see anything? Based off of the evidence so far, if we see anything, it's not going to be for a while. I would be surprised if we got something from this back catalog in 2021, for instance, with the exception of Perfect Dark from the Initiative, possibly, that rumor, I think that might happen, and that would go over really big. But hopefully, there's still the chance for these franchises to come back. I'm looking forward to Everwild. I thought it was cool. Sea of Thieves is nice. There's definitely good to have a balance, but I think in terms of balance, probably Nintendo does it the best. And other studios could definitely learn from what Nintendo does. They never stopped having Mario, Zelda be relevant. Donkey Kong, even Metroid, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, Pokemon be relevant. They're not perfect though. I'm not playing a new Punch-Out game every 5 years. I'm not playing a new Excite Bike every 5 years. I haven't had a new Wave Race or F-Zero in many years. But on the other hand, Pikmin is on the newer side, even though that's already 20 years old. Obviously, Splatoon is new, big hit. Labo, something that's new. And you got to give credit for them. Even ARMS is just a Nintendo Switch title from this generation. So Nintendo as a studio has found a pretty solid balance of old stuff and new stuff. But what do you do when you're Rare and you have a lot of solid stuff? A lot of solid games, I should say. I hope that this generation with Xbox Series S and X is different than the past couple for Rare's representation on Xbox, because I would love to see more of these classic games. I think that Xbox could bring in quite a few million more players that, if Nintendo is their main system and they don't know what they want as a secondary platform between Xbox and PlayStation, they see some of their favorites from the N64 era, early GameCube era. Well, with GameCube is actually only Star Fox, come to think of it. But from that Nintendo 64 era primarily, see some of those franchises on Xbox Series S or X, well, that's an argument to buy that console instead of PlayStation 5. So Xbox could look at it like that, bring in some of that old fan base. Anyways, that was enough of a talk. That was almost enough talk to have a mini video game talk segment. So moving on, I want to talk about NPD's charts. Matt Piscatella provided us with some great information today. I recommend following him on Twitter if you like NPD's news that comes out every month. NPD is the company that tracks sales figures for hardware and software, presents us with data every month in the United States. So, the following list right here is the top 20 best-selling games of the month of September 2020. We have Marvel's Avengers, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, Madden NFL 21, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. This is big because this is the biggest debut of a Tony Hawk game in years. NBA 2K21, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Crusader Kings 3, Animal Crossing New Horizons. That's important to note. That's a game that came out, 6 months ago, so for it to still be in the top 10, coming in at 8 is solid. Star Wars Squadrons, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Let me rewind a second for Star Wars Squadrons. This represents a window where technically it's the majority of the month of September into the first few days of October, so that's why you're seeing Star Wars Squadrons on this list. And we've got Crash Bandicoot 4. Similar, you would think that shouldn't it be higher, but it's coming out on the tail end of late September, early October, and that's why I think it would have done better. In fact, I'm pretty sure that come October we're going to see Crash be pretty high. We've got Ghost of Tsushima at number 12, Ring Fit Adventure, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, UFC 4, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, one of the incredible ones, ranked number 17 in September 2020, 3.5 years after it came out. A single-player game that's not this online multiplayer experience where new people are coming in and battling each other. Just a single-player adventure. Very impressive. Super Mario Odyssey, Mortal Kombat 11, and Super Mario Party. The reason why these are colored up is because previously, and Matt corrected it with this proper version, the numbers 18 and 16 right here were flipped. This right here represents what these games sold last month. This is the rank of this month. Now, if you're wondering what's with the asterisks next to some of these titles, that's because digital sales are not included for them. If you ever see a Nintendo game with the asterisks, as you will almost always, it's because it doesn't take into consideration what was on eShop in those sales. Moving along, these are the top 10 best-selling games for the last 12-month period, ending September 2020. You can look at the chart right here, and you see a decent variety. We've got 4 Nintendo games, 3 EA games, 2 by Sony, 1 from Activision. Now, this chart right here is a little bit different than this chart. This chart represents year to date, the first 9 months of the calendar year 2020. And like I said, it's a little bit different, right off the bat, you could tell that Super Mario 3D All-Stars is one of the top 10, in fact, is the 10th best-selling game of 2020 for those 9 months. You look at this chart though, and you see, for the last 12 months, Mario's not there. But Luigi's Mansion 3 is, because that game sold well enough from when it came out into 2020 that, it charts in the top 10. So anyways, that's a little bit of a look at that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, I don't have a chart with this is just news. We have a record that was broken today. Nintendo Switch has become the best-selling console for the most amount of months in a row ever. Since December 2018 and now through September 2020, Nintendo Switch has had 22 consecutive months of being the #1 best-selling console in the United States. The previous record holder for this was the Xbox 360 with 21 consecutive months, and that took place between August 2011 and April 2013. So Xbox 360 had a powerful run. Xbox 360 wound up being pretty much the second best-selling console of that generation, next to Wii. But, we started to taper off after a while, and Xbox 360 was beating PS3 in North America. And here we see, August 11 to April 13, Xbox 360 had a 21-month win streak. Pretty impressive. Now, if you're wondering, what about like PS2? PS2 versus GameCube versus Xbox. PS2 did a lot better in, that 2000 through 2005 window. How come, Xbox 360 was able to beat it? And that's because going back to that era, it wasn't just PS2, GameCube, Xbox. You also got to think about Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Advance and eventually DS. But specifically GBA in the early run of that, GBA was fighting neck and neck with PS2 often. So oftentimes that's why PS2 doesn't have this record of most amount of months in a row consecutively of selling #1. So now it's Nintendo Switch. Now, the fun talk for me, because I'm a salesperson. Well, I've been in sales, but specifically what I mean by salesperson is, a sales number guy. I love this stuff. Will Nintendo Switch hit a 23rd month? I think so. I think Nintendo takes October as well. Nintendo recently came out with a new shipment of the Animal Crossing Nintendo Switch bundle. Not the game, but the console and the Joy-Con, dock. The look, that SKU was big and popular in March, and it's back now, and it's flying off the shelves, and it's getting restocked. That means Nintendo is really trying to get the lead on the holiday season by pumping as many Nintendo Switches out there in October, because in November, 10th and 12th respectively, we got Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5 coming out. Now, you hear a new console launch, you think, well, the hype's got to be crazy for them. They got to be number one, right? Not necessarily. Yes, there will be many consoles available in those first 7 weeks of November, 10th, 12th through December 31st, and the amount of people that are going to want them is probably going to exceed what's available. So they might sell out. They might be 100% out of stock, constantly selling out the most in-demand product, but they might not have enough supply. And we also know that even if they did have enough supply, Nintendo's got a pretty strong case to win this holiday season regardless. You've got Animal Crossing entering its first holiday season. You've got Mario 3D All-Stars that just came out but is also entering the holiday season, and Mario always does well during the holidays. And you add to that the fact that the game is only going to be available until March 31st, then you have a prequel to one of the best games of this or last generation, Breath of the Wild, in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. You have the most affordable platform on the market this holiday season. Before you go any price drop is Nintendo Switch Lite at $200, the regular model at $300, and these evergreen titles still lasting like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Maybe if there wasn't even a stock problem with PS5 and Xbox Series X, because there will be in keeping up demand for this holiday season, maybe even Nintendo Switch would still become number one because of just that momentum that it has right now. It's unstoppable. So the fact that there is that stock issue with the other platforms makes me think that Nintendo might pull off a 24th, 25th month out of this. It really depends on how much is Xbox and Sony going to bust out, though. How many will they make available? That we won't know exactly till it happens. But that was a fun talk. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Hopefully this wasn't too boring for you, because if you're not into number crunching and speculation, then maybe you kind of lost. I lost you after the Rare talk. But if you do like numbers and speculating, then this should be fun. All right, that's it for today. Just a couple of stories. That's it. Thank you for watching. This is PGN signing out. Hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I will see you next time for more video game news. Take it easy.